And I'm so grateful that you're doing this because we're kind of throwing the NDA out the window on this one, and you're going to be open on kind of what you're hoping to work on through our sessions.
You've got my full attention for the next 45 minutes, an hour, however long this takes. I don't know how long these usually go, but yeah, you've got me. I'm ready to roll.
Amazing, amazing. So today, let's think of this as like the 10,000 foot view, where we look at the overall landscape of what's going on. I'll ask you a few questions. We'll go through that, and then this should give us a bit of a blueprint of where to start and where to dig into when we start our coaching sessions. What's coming to mind as the key areas that are popping up that you really want to work on?
Over the last year or so, it's kind of become really apparent to me that one of my biggest stumbling blocks is just like the analysis paralysis thing. And maybe also tied to that directly is a little bit of, not a little bit, a lot of bit of some imposter syndrome. And they seem to kind of tie together. Like I get an idea that I want to do, or I make a plan of what I want to do. The plan becomes so massively large that I just get stuck. And then in the middle of that getting stuck, I also find out that, those doubts begin to creep in. It's just like, you can't do this. You're not talented enough to do this. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's all phony. It's all fake.
Hey, I appreciate the openness. I know it's our first time diving into this, and I just want to, you sound really clear on these couple areas that are kind of standing in your way, and I appreciate you kind of being this open so soon. So this like triangle, I've got like a triangle written down here of the analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome doubts, and then the pressure. And I imagine that at any given point, there's kind of a balance of those three things, yeah?
Yeah, and actually, I would say that almost is always an imbalance of those three things. But no matter what books I read, no matter what coaching groups I go to, or no matter what, seminars I attend, for whatever reason, the information is there, but I can't get to that implementation side of it. And I don't know why.
If we fast forwarded a couple months, Josh, and you were going to call me in 2, 3 months, and you were going to call me because we nailed everything on this triangle, and you are feeling like a utopia state on all three areas. Tell me more about like what that utopia best case scenario looks like. And you're calling me saying like, I can't believe that we crushed it.
What I'd honestly like to be able to say is that, hey man, there's a time that I fell flat on my face and I felt like giving up, and the next day I got back up and did it. It didn't totally derail the train off the tracks completely. We just had to stop, retool, and get back going on. Like that is probably the biggest sign of success for me. Instead of like the first speed bump throws everything out in a wreck, the first speed bump is recognized as a speed bump.
I could see the emotion in your eyes as you said it, right? Like clearly, I know you said it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's a big thing, right? It's
Yeah.
that resilience when things kind of might start to feel not as good. And for me, the value for me the past 10 minutes is I'm almost thinking now about I look at the analysis paralysis, I look at the doubts and the imposter syndrome, I look at the pressure, right? That triangle. I also want to, by the way, look at this other side, which you mentioned around clarity on the areas of business that you feel like you need to put a plan in place. But we look at these three things on the triangle, and I'm almost thinking, how do we figure out what the roots are that's kind of driving some of those voices? If we can figure out what those roots are, okay, and then we can figure out what comes up in these situations where there's hypothetical failure. Like if we can solve for the extreme cases and we can get you a plan of like, hey Josh, like I want you to design what is the worst like thing that could happen to this triangle. Like let's start there and find a plan in that worst case. And then if you have that system there, then we should be able to solve for any system that any issue that comes your way, right? Because we've solved for the worst case. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about a way we could start when we chat next week. I'm going to pause there. How does that kind of process sound to you overall?
The preparing for the disaster syndrome, I think, kind of hits on a lot of things because I think that I have a tendency to do that, thinking that no matter what goes on, it's always going to be the worst thing that has ever happened everywhere. Like if I don't do this, everything's going to go away, right? That
Mhm.
complete derailment that I just talked about. So solving for those things and having everything be considered to a lesser degree, it sounds right and it makes sense to me.
Okay, that is adding up. How are you doing? We're 20 minutes in. I know we started and you're feeling nervous. I want to give you a sec to, tell me what's coming up as we jump in here.
Uh, Honestly, it's like I feel very vulnerable and I feel partially idiotic. Like sometimes I guess when I hear myself, right? I'm like, dude, why are you like come on, you're smarter than this. You're better than this. Like this stuff shouldn't be real coming from you, right? But saying it out loud and feeling how true it is coming out is like so I'm doing well. I feel that there's a lot of progress, but it's a I feel emotionally charged.
Yeah.
Is that probably the best way of what I can say right now?
Well, I mean, I can tell how much you care about obviously your business, but also this triangle, right? And moving past it, like I can see how important this is to you. And I so appreciate the openness that you're showing, Josh. And I'll share, like, even when I'm with my coach, there are absolutely times when I am revealing my inner voice and I'm hearing it and I'm like, oh, I've never said that out loud. Or Tarik,
Mm-hmm.
seriously? Like, is that what you're, is that what you believe? Like, is that right? And sometimes just saying that part out loud gets us 10% of the way to the answer because we hear it. We're like, okay, wait, like that might be BS. And usually the first step is recognizing that, oh, yeah, that might be BS. So maybe there's a crack here that we can dig into and find the thing. Okay. You okay with using the term triangle? Well, we know what that means. Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
this triangle area, right? And for those watching, the analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome, and the pressure. You've touched on this a bit, but we talked about this utopia and that resilience if things go backwards, but coupled with that feeling of Tarek, like I'm waking up, I'm doing this stuff, I've signed clients and you're doing those things. What do you feel like is stopping you now from this utopia slash feeling that resilience?
Me, like there's no one there's no one else to blame when you're a business owner and you do everything yourself and it's all on you. There's no one else to blame. Like, I'm yeah, I got to take the personal accountability for all of that stuff. So whatever's going on, when whatever failings are going on in my business and personal life or whatever, it ultimately rests on my shoulders. Outside forces are there for everybody. You can't control outside forces. You can't control market realizations. You can't do any of that stuff. But I can control. Yeah, I can't control. I can hopefully influence and change what goes on in me. So I'm going to take the responsibility and say these things that go on are on my shoulders. They're my back. They're my responsibility to get through and figure out. So I guess I would be in the way uh, of utopia.
Based on everything we've talked about, what feels like the solution to get this ship to the promised land?
Belief in overcoming the disaster. Like that is probably the thing that hit the hardest is knowing that the first choppy waters of the boat doesn't necessarily mean capsizing. Like that gets it going. Because normally with the whole analysis paralysis thing, I'm stuck there. I'm stuck analyzing all of the worst case scenarios, and my pattern is, let's not get on the boat. Like, let's not get on the boat. Like, why do that? So that's what that kind of analysis paralysis kills me on that. Um, So yeah, belief in being able to overcome that disaster scenario.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
This triangle.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the power to shut down one of the corners, and
Ooh.
you're going to shut down the one that has the biggest impact on the other corners, like the source. I give you one chip and you put it on a corner. Which one would you shut down?
It would be self doubt. If I could silence that, maybe I'm a little prone to hyperbole, but I think that I would be completely unstoppable.
Oh my God. Keep going. What happens? What happens when that gets silenced?
Whatever I want. Like, and it sounds awful, but I don't, you know, children of a certain age, their parents always told them, right? You can do anything you want if you just put your mind to it. I am one of the fortunate ones that have really found that to be true. That's not a brag. It's just that drive that I have. If I believe in something, I've done it, right? Time and time again. But not enough times that it kills the self doubt voice. Super weird paradox, right? Like, I see how those two things completely clash. I get that, but I don't understand why, and I don't understand how to get past that. Like, as I said, I alluded to before, I know that I can make any video production work. I know I can handle any type of task. I know that I can do that. When the self doubt is gone, done. Like, nothing will stand in my way to get something done. It just doesn't happen. But yet the self doubt lives on. And it gets really loud sometimes. Like, debilitatingly loud.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could I wish I could just convey and articulate how many, because I get to sit in this chair and every day I see founders that are in different stages and people that have incredible capabilities like you, people that have accomplished amazing things. And I see no correlation between accomplishments and capability and that self-doubt voice. It's everywhere. It's in so many people. And what resonates with me so much before I pass it to you for open Q&A on your end here, what resonates with me so much is like your tendency to try to find the information and study um, and the answer to figuring out that self-doubt, which so many people, including myself in different parts of my life in the past have dealt with. Um, Everyone's got a pretty unique route to like what's kind of the source thinking pattern. I always think of it like lines of code, right? The source code is going to lead to the actual result, which feels self-doubt. But if we just go up a couple layers and dig a bit, I want to figure out when we start next week with that self-doubt, like what's kind of underlying that? What are the two or three key roots? And then if we dig into those two or three key roots, my assumption is we're going to find a bit of an unlock of what's driving it, and then we can look at that objectively and see, how we can rewrite some of that code based on, facts as opposed to, things that might be clouded with emotions or limiting beliefs and things like that, right? So that to me feels like the natural place to start. And when we jump in next week, I'll let you start wherever you want. But before I pass to you for Q&A, I'm curious your thoughts on like that initial blueprint of a plan, which is really the purpose of the past half an hour, I'd say.